Super excited about two things. One, what an awesome week the first week of October is. Two, one of my favorite saints. Awesome week in October. 1st of October is the Feast of Saint Thérèse. October 2nd is the Feast of the Guardian Angels. Number 4th of October is the Feast of Saint Francis of Assisi. Well, let me just focus on Thérèse. I love Thérèse because of her spiritual path. It's called The Little Way. I've always loved her, and I've been reading this book here called Thérèse of Lisieux, Discovering the Path of Love by Joseph Schmidt. I think a lot of us feel a lot of pressure in our lives to be perfect. I know I feel that in my life as a priest. In Thérèse's day, she lived in the late 1800s. In her world in France, it was very much kind of like this religious perfectionism. You got to say all these prayers. You got to do nothing wrong. This religious OCD. And it led to a lot of anxiety. So it wasn't the same causes, but the result was the same, this pressure. Thérèse discovered what she called the little way, which she always believed was not like an add-on to the gospel, but the heart of living the message of Jesus and the gospel. The little way is the way of a child. It's not a bunch of practices or doing all these things. It's a disposition of heart by which a person trusts God as a loving Father. For Thérèse, it goes deeper than that. What it means is to offer yourself to God actively in the midst of your imperfections. Now that's where this thing starts getting interesting and challenging and really powerful. Thérèse was writing to her sister in her autobiography. And her sister misunderstood what Thérèse's way was. Thérèse says to her sister, "You're mistaken if you believe that your little Thérèse walks always with fervor on the road of virtue. She is weak and very weak. And every day she has a new experience of this weakness. But Jesus is pleased to teach her, as he did St. Paul, the science of rejoicing in her infirmities. This is a great grace, and I beg Jesus to teach it to you." Rejoicing in your infirmities. She quotes St. Paul in the second letter to the Corinthians when he speaks about rejoicing in my weaknesses. This is like how the gospel looks in our daily life. All the opportunities that we have throughout the day, not to be perfect, but to experience how limited we are, how impatient I can be, how I fail and how I don't live up to what I'm supposed to be. For Thérèse, those aren't distractions from the gospel. Those are actually opportunities to live the path of love. I offer myself to God in the midst of those infirmities. The analogy that Thérèse loved to use was like a child playing with toys. She said, look at little children. They never stop breaking things, tearing things, falling down. And they do this even while loving their parents very, very much. Thérèse saw that a healthy child is going to continually relate and love their mom or their dad, even in the knowledge that they're just a kid. That's mature spirituality. We don't run from our imperfections, but rather we embrace them and offer them to God as an offering. That's the path of love, and that's why I love Thérèse so much. Hey, I'll pray for everyone who watches Catholic Breakfast for the grace to know and to live the little way of Thérèse, which really is the way of the gospel.